Giants.
Seam heads. Our Giants game day coverage begins now.
It's the mosaic.
So before gloves start popping,
Diving, he makes the catch!
and bats start cracking,
It is gone!
we bring you the voice of Bay Area baseball for the past 29 years.
As I always say, baseball reflects what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Laurie
That's what we do. We talk ball.
on KNBR, the sports leader.
The Hall of Famer Orlando Cepeda is with us, the baby bull, coming to the United States from Puerto Rico. This was not easy. How did you even get signed by the Giants? How'd they even find you?
By mistake. You know, they went to Puerto Rico and looked for somebody else, and they saw me play, and another 4 weeks I was playing ball in the state.
How old were you?
Just turning 17.
17 years old and just came to the States. Wow. And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Talking Baseball on this Sunday morning as we get ready for ball today, and a very special day at the ballpark today. We celebrate the life of the great Orlando Cepeda, the Hall of Famer and dear friend of so many people. And Raf has gone into the archives and gone back to some of the conversations that we've had with Orlando over the years, and we'll play that as the show proceeds this morning. But how did they find Orlando, as he says? By mistake. That's how they found Orlando. So a sweet man. We love him. And if you're coming to the park today, be in your seat by 12:30. It's going to be a very special day today, as only the Giants can do it. They know how to do these things. So that is the special part of today, the celebration of life of the great Orlando Cepeda. Well, baseball continues here at the ballpark as the Giants lose their third in a row. They've lost 4 of 5. They're 1-4 in the homestand. But the 3 games in a row have been 3 shutouts, if you can believe that. And I've watched baseball a long time. I can go back, I think, to the Orioles, maybe in the 70s, with that pitching staff they had, and maybe won 4 or 5 in a row with shutouts with the great Jim Palmer and things like that. But I haven't seen 3 shutouts in a row for a long time. And the Giants got shut out again last night by the San Diego Padres, 8-0. 8-17-1 for the Padres last night. They left 13 on base. This game could have been a lot worse. The Giants, of course, no runs, 5 hits, an error, and left 6 on base. They've lost 11 of 19, 4 of 5. And on this homestand, they are 1-4. And the strikeouts continue to pile up for this ball club. And Will will be with us in a little while. We'll talk about some situational hitting and maybe what they can do over the winter. But 10 more strikeouts for the Giants last night. In the 3 games that they've been shut out, 37 strikeouts. And when you strike out that many times, it's tough to put the ball in play, obviously, and make something happen. As the professor is here this morning, we're glad to see him. He's bringing some Danish for us, which is always good. And we'll put that mic on for the professor there if you want to talk. But Sandra is here on the stream, and if you're watching us, click on the stream at KNBR or Twitch or YouTube. And Sandra, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Marty. I'm doing well, and it's a beautiful day out here at the ballpark. If you can see, everyone's going to be rocking their Panama hats to honor Orlando Cepeda as we celebrate his life today on Fiesta Gigante. So it's going to be a great day to celebrate the life and legacy of Orlando Cepeda.
Yeah, give Will a Panama hat there.
I know. We don't want to mess up his hair. He's looking good.
He's a movie star. He's the movie star. All right, but 31,000 at the ballpark last night. Sandra will help you with your mic, Will. 31,000 at the park last night, 2 hours, 33 minutes. Only 1 homer in the game. That was by Bogarts. Musgrove was excellent the week before. Musgrove, of course, got knocked around by the Giants in that 1 inning. 6 or 7 hits in a row, 3 home runs. And he had the curveball going last night. It wasn't big fastballs throwing it past people. He was a pitcher last night, and that's what we saw with him. Luis Arraez, my favorite player. A couple more hits for him last night. 2 for 6. 12-game hitting streak, and he has now gone 135 at-bats, if I'm not mistaken, without striking out. Sandra, what did you think of Arise last night?
Well, the guy is just incredible, and since he's been in San Diego with runners in scoring position, he's batting over 400, Marty. So that's just incredible, and he is one of those guys that he just puts the ball in play, and that's what you want to see, especially with him batting in the leadoff spot. And then you've got, that really tough couple of batters coming after him in the San Diego lineup that really is doing some damage.
Yeah, you get to that 9 spot, you want to get the catcher out, Higashigoa. Get him out, because you don't want to flip that lineup and get into Luis Arise. Well, the professor is with us, and we're glad to have you on early this morning here live in the bunker. Whoa, how do you like that?
We're back in the bunker, Marty.
Come on, man.
This is great. This is where it started. How many years ago? It's been a long time now, and it's fun to be back in here.
Yeah, the last time we were here was before COVID.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. And we have Sandra here now, so it's a good group, and I'm excited to be here this morning. It's great that it falls on the celebration of life for Orlando Cepeda, Roberto Clemente Day, me coming up as a Pirate. He meant a lot to the Pirate organization and the humanitarian that he was and the whole deal. So, it's going to be a good day out there for Orlando, and hopefully it'll be a good day for the Giants as well.
Now, are you going to wear the Panama hat? Everyone in the park has got a Panama hat. Now, you're known for your hair.
Yeah.
You know that. You're the movie star,
Well, Kruk and Kite would say I'm the only guy that can coach 9 innings at third base and a hair doesn't move. So I guess I could put one on for today.
Yeah.
All right. That is the professor. As long as you're here, let's talk a little bit about Musgrove last night. A different pitcher than the week before. You were on TV, I think, last week, if I'm not mistaken, maybe talking about that Musgrove game with all the home runs. What was different last night?
Well, if you remember back when he pitched against us in San Diego, he cruised for the first 3 innings.
Right.
And then Tatis dropped that fly ball. They didn't drop it. It was lost in the sun. And then it started, boom, 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 boom. We had a couple home runs, singles, walks, and I don't know if that broke his concentration. I doubt it. I mean, you have to gather yourself. He's been around long enough, but he's a good pitcher. Look, I think, he got a lot of fastballs over the middle of the plate, hung some breaking balls in San Diego. And yesterday, I think it's tougher in this park, too. I think to hit in general with all the wind, the ball moves a little bit more for me. And this is what he can do. That's why he's a very good pitcher. And, he shut us down. So he was doing that in San Diego, and then he hit a rough patch and just started making mistakes. And you see that happens to a lot of guys.
Yeah. And they got to him down there. But last night it was a different story.
Yeah, well, he really had control yesterday, and his command was on point. And I think that with kind of the velocity and how he mixes pitches and the speed, I think that having command is going to be the difference for Musgrove when he's out there on the bump.
The other guy, Luis Arise, well, Bruce Jenkins and I have been talking about him going back to last year. I met him when he was with the Marlins, and I had him on the show. Nicest guy in the world. I don't know if you had a chance to talk with him at all. But I'm watching, I was telling this to John Shea last night. I said, John, if you want to know what it looked like, baseball in the 70s, watch this guy hit, because all he does is slap the ball around. He picks out a spot, and he knocks the ball through there. That's Rod Carew, and you've played with a million guys like this, right?
Sure. Well, Bill Madlock wasn't known for that, but he put the bat head on the ball. Good. Obviously, Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs. You mentioned Rod Carew. There's a bunch of them. He's something special. My goodness. Obviously, the numbers and everybody that watch him play, they see how special he is. And, he's got a little pop in there. He hit one to the triples alley last night. It would have been a home run way out in San Diego. But he's so difficult to pitch to that you watch him play and you think, just throw the ball down the middle and let him, hopefully he pops it up and move on to the next guy, because he just wears you down, too. And the one thing that comes to mind, and I've been wondering about that, years ago when you had hitters like that, you would say, okay, we're going to pitch him down and away from his power, and we're going to defense him away, we're going to shift away, and we're going to let him hit the ball into the defense, because he was difficult to get out. Pitch him away, down and away, and just stay there and let him slap it into the defense. And, that used to work sometimes. You try to pitch to this guy, and you're set up in your defense. You throw one in. He's so good at getting his hands inside the ball and turning that into a hit. But, he is special, and I'd love to be able to pick his brain. It looks like the Padres may be a little bit as well as far as putting the ball in play. You saw it last night with Tatis, 3 ground balls, 2 of them for RBI singles through the second base side. Some of these guys might be changing their approach a little bit just because of him.
It's good education for the Giants. Look, they struck out 10 more times last night, 37 in 3 games. And I know it's September, and, things change. This isn't July and August, and guys are tired, and it's a different story right now. But I think it's a great example of being able to cut down on your swing.
Yeah, because you don't see a lot of guys like this in the game. And, if you don't like what he's doing or want a guy like this on your team, you got to be, out of your mind. The whole story used to be get the best pitch you can get, get the pitch you want and drive it, up until 2 strikes. But this style of play works, putting the ball in play, hitting it where it's pitched. You win a lot of games. I think we've played probably 80 games that were decided by 2 runs or less. Yeah. And a lot of times those games boil down to, sure, if you hit homers, you're going to win. But getting a guy in from third, moving a guy, putting the ball in play so you can score that run from third in close games, along with playing good defense, running the bases correctly. So it's not an all or nothing game. And of course, you got to play the style game to your personnel and to your ballpark. And I think that style of baseball fits this ballpark and our personnel right now.
So here we are in September, and you run into a streak of 3 shutouts in a row. What do you say to the ball club at this point? I know Bob Melvin was not happy last night. You're on the bench now, by the way. I want to talk about this with you. You've been on the bench, and you've been doing it for a couple of weeks. A little different. But what do you do?
Well, I think the manager took the lead last night. Look, the effort's there. That's the number one thing. The guys are busting their tail. They're in that cage all day long. Some could argue maybe they're in the cage too long and they should use their mind more. But that's been going on for the past 10, 15 years. So, I don't believe that's the issue. But look, they're trying, they're preparing, but the defensive side of things, you can't make some of the mistakes we're making because they're just basic mistakes. It's hard enough when you're struggling to hit. You look like you're dead or there's no effort. But I'm telling you, it's there. The team's going to take an outfield-infield today.
Yeah.
So, Bob's moving the needle, the staff's moving the needle, Matt Williams and Ryan Christensen. You have to address it, and you make it known, and then it's up to the personnel and to the guys and see how they respond.
Yeah, in the big leagues, it's tough to take a guy out of position and put him somewhere. And I'll talk about Wisely. He's played a lot of second base, hasn't played a lot of short, and got caught in a bad cutoff situation last night. He just hasn't played a lot of short stuff.
No, and that's what happens over the course of a season. Anybody could, swing the bat good for 3 weeks, right? It's a season. It's a half a season. So that's why you have to temper your enthusiasm when guys come up and they have big days or they have a good few weeks. And, can they maintain it? Because it's a league of adjustments. Offensively, the pitchers are going to adjust. They find your weakness. Now they start pounding that weakness. And can you adjust? But to your point, if you have limited experience in different positions, that's where it comes up in the nuance of the position. Maybe catching the ball or getting the reads, that can affect them. But, they're all pretty good athletes. They can handle that. It's relay positionings, taking a step on a breaking ball if you're a third baseman, let's say, and the guy's going to pull the ball. You're taking a step. Nobody in the park really notices, but it's your instincts. You played the position, the hitter. Now you're going to make that play. Maybe a new guy at that position doesn't. He just stands in that one spot. You throw the breaking ball and he hits one down the line because he doesn't understand the nuances of the position.
What? All right, Sunday morning. How do you like it? The professor's back. All right, very good.
It's good to be in the bunker, Marty.
Yeah, no, it's. I think it's an education for everybody because look, we all watch the game, and it is September, and you want the team to win. What's it like? Of course, being a spoiler. You haven't been in that role too many times in your career, but the team is a spoiler right now. What's that like?
Yeah, it's not very fun, to to be honest, it's not as fun as winning, obviously. I think that as a group, no one says, let's be a spoil. But if you're a competitor, you want to beat the other team every time you go out there. And, that's the nature of the game and what we do as ball players and competitors. And when you play good teams, you have to raise your level of concentration and focus because they're good. So you got to bring your best. And that's what they need to do right now is bring the best of what they have. I mean, they got a tough road trip. We got San Diego, we got Baltimore is not going to be easy, Kansas City, Arizona. They're all in the race, and they're good teams, and they're playing for something. You have to find a way to motivate yourself to play for the respect of your teammates, for the fans, for the organization, and finish strong as a player because you're a competitor.
I love it. All right, you got me pumped up.
All right, let's go, Marty. Let's go.
I'm
Maybe we get you in a bat today.
I'm ready. All right, this is good. All right, the professor's with us. We're in the bunker this morning. It's Orlando Cepeda, the celebration of life for him today, and you want to be out here by 12:30 today. And we've got a lot of sound from Orlando that we've from interviews that I did over the years. How do you feel, Sandra, this morning?
Well, it's kind of bittersweet. Obviously, it's a somber day, but also it's a celebration.
Yeah.
And so for me, just hearing all the stories, Russ Stanley was in here earlier this morning, and you just kind of being a fly on the wall, listening to these conversations. And personally, I have a memory from being back at Candlestick as a little girl in the bleachers, and they were giving out these like medallions. And that was kind of the first time that I learned who Orlando Cepeda was. I was probably like 8 years old, and I still have it. It's this little coin, and it's got all of his accolades written on there. And that was something so special that I think the Giants did, even when I was a young girl, being able to kind of learn about who all these legends were. There wasn't any statues out there at Candlestick, so everything that we learned about all of these Giants legends was from word of mouth, from the people around us, and from the Giants themselves. So just kind of looking back on those memories for me as a little girl and learning about these guys and then being here today is very, very special for me.
Well, remember Pat Gallagher?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Come on, he was the one who really pushed for Orlando to be in the Hall of Fame. And tell people about Pat Gallagher.
Well, Pat was here. I guess Mario worked under him at the Mario Alioto, who's now retired, but still a consultant here.
Right.
But Pat did it all, I think Pat, I don't know if Pat was involved with the Crazy Crab.
Yes.
Right? We all remember the Crazy Crab, but
what do you think of the Crazy Crab?
You know what? He was good while it lasted, right? That was about it. I love seeing the other teams throw stuff at him, and the fans throw Coke bottles and hot dogs at him and the whole thing. It was pretty entertaining, I have to say that, but it probably didn't go over the way they expected. But they have so many great events here. Him and Mario have done so many great things for the Giants. I mean, they really built this thing up, especially coming from Candlestick over here to where we're at now. And, the Giants do events better than anybody in baseball, and we're going to see another one today. And to Sandra's point, Orlando Cepeda, I was fortunate to be able to go to his services in Concord a month ago. And you're right, there's going to be some great stories about him. The fans that don't know Orlando like some of these people do, the stories you're going to hear today are really going to touch you. I mean, what a great person he was. And then on a special, my own personal note, I used to imitate him in the driveway.
Did you?
At the Boston Red Sox, as he played for the Red Sox. You probably know the year.
Yeah.
And
73.
I go through the whole lineup. I'd be Mike Yastrzemski's grandfather. I'd hit left-handed, and I'd be Cepeda, and I'd be all of them. Rick Burleson, and that's what you do when you're a kid. So. He was one individual that I was familiar with back when I was, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, he was a great DH for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And he told me stories about that, about being the DH at Fenway and all that. I loved him, I must say, and I still do. The memory, as we say sometimes in Yiddish, may his memory be a blessing. Mm-hmm. And it's very well said about Orlando Cepeda. His memory is a blessing. It really is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that today. Boy, this is going to be fun. All right, this is good. We got a lot more to talk about with the professor. Sandra's here. We're in the bunker. It's Sunday. It's baseball. And, well, I want to talk about, when we come back from the break, the fans. Because, look, 39,000 Friday night, 33 yesterday. There'll be a big crowd today. They fight with you to the last pitch. The last pitch. It's amazing, really, what the fans have been like throughout this whole season. So let's talk about that when we come back right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. For the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship. It's time for an update from River Islands in Lathrop, Northern California's fastest growing master planned community. River Islands is truly remarkable. It really is. Always welcoming quality home builders, bringing in a wide variety of home styles. Right now, the community is celebrating a whole series of grand openings, introducing all new model homes in neighborhoods, on lakes, and near parks and trails. And there's even more to the River Islands story. School's in session at the 3 charter elementary schools and now at River Islands High School. The Boathouse Restaurant, I love it, serves lunch and dinner overlooking one of the community's 15 lakes. Champions Park just opened, joining a dozen other parks and playing fields. Add to that a lifestyle where the great indoors rivals the best of the great outdoors. And you can see that it's all coming together in one place, and that's River Islands. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? Check it out at riverislands.com. You know it sure is for me. How did you find out that you were going to be a starter? And this is now April 15th, 1958. You're on the team. Is Felipe on the team as well?
Felipe was there. Let me tell you, Dave, Horace Dunham, he signed so many Latinos. Ruben Gomez played for them in 53 and 54. Ramon Monsan, remember him? The
Venezuela.
Pitcher, Venezuela. And then I came in 58 with Felipe. Then in 59, Pagan came to the Giants.
Jose Pagan.
So many Latinos, a great ball player.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Laurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
Well, I love hearing Orlando's voice, and of course, talking about 1958 and his first game with the San Francisco Giants. Go ahead, Sandra.
Oh, well, I was just going to say it's so incredible to hear his voice, Marty, and hearing how close you guys were and hearing those conversations that you've had with Orlando. And thanks to Raph for playing those for all the fans out there listening today. It's really, truly special.
Well, we had the River Island spot that Raph just played, and I ran into Darren Chan, DC, who does the radio broadcast. He organizes and produces them. And he was telling me, guess where I went last week? I said, where? He says, I was driving back from somewhere, and I passed River Islands, and I went in, and I had lunch at the Boathouse.
Did he really?
Yes.
Fantastic.
He loved it.
It's paying off, and I'm sure he had a great lunch at the Boathouse. The only thing he's missing is your museum when they put that thing in.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That'll be fantastic.
With all the audio, that's the kind of stuff that we just played. That'll all be
exactly, and it's wonderful to be able to hear the great players of the past. That's going to be special.
So he liked the lunch, and I said, "Did you go kayaking?" Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Well, the fall's a beautiful time. The kayak, if Darren's listening, it's a good time,
but
right?
He was very excited about it. He said, "This is cool."
That's awesome.
Yeah, the Boathouse Restaurant. All right. One of our listeners, before we get to the fans, I want to talk to you about that. They're so wonderful. Susan Katan, Katen, sent me a poem, and this was after Orlando had passed away. And she wrote this, and I thought it would be nice to read it this morning. So, a little different on Talking Baseball. This is the poem from Susan. First it was Willie McCovey, then it was Willie Mays, and now Orlando Cepeda, all from the good old days. We'd listen on KSFO, my sister, mom, and me, hoping to hear Russ Hodges shout his famed bye-bye baby. In 1960, I just turned 13, when so awestruck I'd be at my first game in Candlestick etched in my memory. This little girl stared in disbelief as fans began to roar, for there he was, the say-hey kid, amazing 24. Then Willie Mack took his first base, my heart already full, was thrilled when 30 took the field, the famous baby bull. The sun was bright, the sky was blue, my heroes looked pristine, all spiffed in home team uniforms, out on the grass so green. That was the day they stole my heart, the orange and the black, forever holding on to it to never give it back. Baseball is more than just a game. It's precious moments shared with those we've loved throughout our lives, with those for whom we've cared. And as those precious moments fade, within my heart they last, transform from present times to sweet memories of the past. Thank you to Willies, Mack, and Mays, and of course Orlando too, and all forever Giants who've passed on ahead of you. You gave us heart and passion, yet we're humbled by the fame. You gave us everything you had for the love of the game. So farewell, my boys of summer. Though this is not the end, play on that heavenly field of dreams until we meet again.
Wow. That is a beautiful poem.
Isn't that nice?
Very nice. And, you mentioned the fans. It's so great to know that these were all Giant Hall of Famers, and the fans had an opportunity to watch these players play. Because you think about, if I go to a basketball game or a football game, you want to go see the greats of the game, right? That's what drives you. And these were the best of the best, and they played right here in San Francisco. But she did a wonderful job with that poem.
Yeah, and the stories live on. And Sandra talks about it, and we talk about it, that first moment when you realize that baseball player is your hero. And who was yours, Sandra? The first moment when you say, wow, that was my baseball hero.
I mean, I did play Little League with Barry Bonds' baseball card in my cap when I was a
Very
little girl.
nice.
So I mean, maybe Barry, but I think it was always Willie Mays. I mean, everybody's trying to do the basket catch and emulate Willie Mays when you're out there on the baseball field, at least for me growing up. And it's all because of the stories that we hear from everybody, and listening and turning on the radio and keeping the stories of all of those that have come before us. So that poem was just beautiful. It got me a little choked up, Marty, because these are special times, and sitting here with you, Marty, and you, Wo, together here in the bunker, it's just, there's no place I'd rather be.
Yeah. How about you, Wo? First baseball hero?
Well, I would say it was a team. It was the Boston Red Sox. I was a Sox watcher, if you know the little slogan at the beginning. And I spent, all day out there with the wiffle ball, emulating all the players. My dad, played a little baseball, and he loved the game. And, of course, when you're a kid, you follow your dad. And I fell in love with all of them. I mentioned Yaz and Rick Burleson. I liked playing infield. I was playing infield, so he was always special to me. Freddie Lynn, the whole group. The whole group was special. And it's hard to recapture that as you get older. You start working in a business. Now it's you play for the love of the game, but it's still a job. You view it a little bit different, but you never forget those heroes that you loved when you were a kid. To your point,
that's it. That's what makes baseball. We had little Sawyer Lurie on yesterday, the son of Daniel Lurie, who was on, a great baseball fan. I said, who are your guys? And he said, well, Matt Chapman and Elliot Ramos and Nate's Blake Snell. And I forgot who the other one, but he had
Logan Webb.
Logan Webb, he had another one. And I said, why do you like him? And, one's competitive, and boy, what a great player. And he's 10 years old.
Yeah.
And this is something for the rest of his life he'll have. And that's what baseball does. And for me, it was Jackie Robinson. I was a kid in Brooklyn. And then number 42, and then going to the ballpark the first time. And we talk about Orlando, April 15th, 1958. He was in the lineup. He was 20. He's a great player, fabulous player.
Yeah.
And for me, going as a kid, 10 years old, to Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, and seeing that white uniform and number 42, Jackie Robinson, that was it for me. And look, I'm older than 10 now. A few more years have gone on, and I talk about it, and when I talk about it, I'm back to 10 years old.
You're exactly right. And, we're all a little, well, not all of us, you and I are a little more seasoned. Of course, Sandra's not yet.
No, she's talking about Barry Bonds.
Yeah, exactly. But now we go to the poem, and you think of those memories when you were a kid, your heroes, and it's still special. I do the same thing. But now where we're at in life, you listen to that poem and these great players that you've seen, and they were such a big part of the history of baseball. And it touches you, like Sandra says, if you love the game, it touches you because they're all gone. And they were so special, and we were all very fortunate to see them.
Yeah, and it comes, as we're talking about this, in September. And baseball is going to be going away for us. Now, you've been down the road in World Series and, the whole time. So for you, it's exciting playoffs. You've been through so many of them. But when it ends, it's sad. As Bart Giamatti said, just when we need baseball, it goes away. You know, the days get shorter, and no more sunshine, and that's when we need the stories. And unfortunately for the Giants, it's going to be going away in a couple of weeks.
You're exactly right. And, you know, when I was a minor league man, well, back to when I was a player, I had the view that, you know, I have all winter to rest. You know, some players can't wait to go home, and I get it. They're away from their families. Yeah. You know, they've sacrificed 8 months. You don't see your kids. You live in different lives. You want to go home. It's at the end. Maybe you're not going to be in the playoffs, and you can't wait for it to end. But, you know, everybody's situation is different. And mine, I always felt like I have the whole winter to rest. I can't wait to play these last. I'm going to go harder now because I don't have to play for 3 or 4 months. Yeah. And the same thing happens as a coach. You know, you're ready for it to end, but when it ends, it's over. Boom. Everything is different, and then of course you're home for a month. You recharge or a few weeks. Then you can't wait to get back to spring training. That's the crazy thing about it. You're in this grind. 3 weeks, a month goes by, and it's like, yeah, when's spring training starting?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Jose Canseco in 1990 when the A's won and they were going to play the Reds in the World Series. And, of course, the Reds wiped them out in 4 games. And Tony La Russa didn't like this. Jose said, do we always have to play in October? Didn't go over well.
That sounds like something Canseco would say.
Didn't go over well with Dave Stewart and Carney.
Oh, no.
I can't imagine.
Carney, too, yeah.
Carney, well, you know Carney.
Oh, Carney used to slap our head if we fell asleep on a flight. If it's under 2-hour flight, no sleeping. Or you get slapped in the head.
Wow.
I love Carney Lansford. I love him.
Yes, good guy.
It was a lot of fun. Let's talk about the fans a little bit, Will. Because, look, this is a rough patch now for the ball club, but the fans, they just don't waver. It's really incredible. And as the media, we talk about, why wasn't the position player in the right spot for the cutoff, and why did this happen and that happen? But fans love the park. They love coming out, and they fight to the last pitch.
Yeah, well, there's so many baseball fans, you know, out there, and, you know, so many people want to bring their kids and be able to see the players, you know, and spark the interest. Like first time you saw Jackie Robinson, you know, you bring your kids and they love the game, and the figures are larger than life. And, you know, I love the older crowd that we have, too. You know, we have a lot of diehard baseball fans that loved it as a kid, and they keep coming out. And they've been a big part of our success, because I can tell you, when we were winning all these championships and playoff games, the fans were part of the energy and the excitement that we felt down on the field. They motivate you. And as Felipe used to say, you know, you see all these people here, you better play hard. They're big with money. So, and it's true. It's true. You're here, and I can tell you this. It is all about the fans. I mean, we love to play, but when we had that COVID year, and there were no fans in the stands, you realize that it's not as fun playing amongst yourself. It felt like a scrimmage game. Yeah. The fans make all the difference in the world, and we love our fans here, and that they show up, and they've sold this place out so many times, and through thick or thin, they keep coming. Yeah,
it's the hope. Look, we got hope now. The big first baseman, the kid. As Sandra said, he's not 20 yet. He was in high school, 14 months ago. Bryce Eldridge is in Sacramento. Well, you've seen him. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think he's going to be a good player. I saw him in San Jose. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to Sacramento this week when the team hits the road.
Sack of potatoes?
Sack of potatoes. I'm going to tomatoes or potatoes. You go whichever way you want. I'm going to go to sack of tomatoes.
We haven't mentioned rutabaga this morning, and it's feeling a little weird.
No, rutabaga. That's right. That's right. I didn't see it this morning. I saw the hot dog bun. So.
All right, go ahead.
But he's
going up there.
Yeah, I'm going to go up and watch him. They have another week of games, and the organization wants to get him some more at bats. So it'll be good for me to see his progress since I've seen him a couple months ago. But look, he's got a nice looking swing. He's got power. He's very mature for his age. I mean, he's just a kid, and to fly through the system like this is impressive. So I'm looking forward to watching him.
Well, this is what's going on in baseball. Look at Churio, 20 years old. Jackson Holiday, this Merrill kid for San Diego.
Right.
And why not? This is what baseball has turned into. Teach them in the big leagues. If the tools are there, play them.
Well, the tools and the aptitude and the knowledge of the game, there's other things that come up as well. And you're right. There are players get to the big leagues a lot quicker today than they did years ago. Now, we can go back, ages, like when I was playing in AAA. And the AAA team, my teammates, I had Willie Horton, who was, 15 years older than me. He was a big leaguer. He's back down. And Dave Augustine. You had all these guys that had been to the big leagues and were back in AAA. And that was your support group when the major leaguers got hurt. The young kids weren't coming up. They kept you in the minor leagues to get the 2,000 at bats and get those innings. And it was done a little bit differently. But to your point, the game has changed quite a bit. The young players are, the saviors for these teams that can't afford to compete with the Dodgers and the Yankees. The kids get a lot of opportunities. And, no one can complain about the opportunity you have as a minor leaguer today. Because, years ago, you'd be stuck behind a Derek Jeter or, whoever it was, a Carlton Fisk, and, you're stuck. You never move. You're in AAA, and you have to get traded for a chance to play. So the game has changed in that regard.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, what if you get stuck behind like a Cal Ripken Jr. and then you never see the field, you never get your chance, and it's like 1,000 games later, and you're still in the minor leagues.
That was Ron Washington.
Yeah.
Wash played behind Cal.
Was it really?
Yes, Wash played behind Cal. In fact, when Cal's inning streak ended at 8,400 innings he played in a row, who replaced him? Ron Washington.
Wow.
No kidding.
I didn't know that.
And Wash says, what? To Cal Ripken Sr., who was the manager at that time. And Sr. says, go ahead in for Junior. And Wash says, can I do that? And
Are you sure?
Senior says, don't worry, I'll take care of Junior.
Yeah.
And they put Wash in, and Wash broke the streak. That's the
I didn't
one.
know that either. Good for Wash.
Yeah,
I just
very
remember
good.
Wash showing up on the field. He'd have he'd have the catcher's bag with him, and he had about 8 gloves in that thing. A glove for all the different positions. This was later on in his career because he was the ultimate utility guy, you know. So he had all the gloves. He'd always carry that bag.
I love
with him.
Wash. He's another one. One last one. I always like to give you a champion and talk about a champion. Wan Rebe, a champion. What about him, Will?
Well, here's a guy that, he got better with age. There's no doubt about it. Had some really big moments in his career, and especially for us, the Giants. I mean, the one infamous game that I love to reminisce about is when Boch got thrown out. Then I got thrown out. We were playing the Dodgers. Lincecum had a shutout going. And then, the Dodgers tie the game, and Flan's managing the team. And in the 11th inning, I think Boch wanted Flan to pinch hit for Rebe, and he couldn't get the message in time. And next thing you know, Rebe hits a walk-off home run, and here we go. But he did that. He was that type of player. And, Wan Rebe was one of the best guys in the clubhouse. He was one of the best. He was always smiling. He was good-natured. He was a lot of fun. And you need those characters in the clubhouse, I think, to help with the chemistry. And the game's so serious, and you can really beat yourself up. You need some characters around to lighten the load and lighten the mood. And he was one as a Latin player. And, of course, the home runs he hit in the World Series for us and the job that he did. He took over for Pablo Sandoval at third base when, in 2010, we decided to go with Uribe at third base, and, of course, he hit the home run in Philly to put us ahead and stay ahead. So, great player for the Giants. He brings a smile to my face because he was a fun guy.
Hey, Pablo pitched. He's pitching for Staten Island. Did you
my
see that?
goodness, that was amazing. What was it, 5 innings with no hits? He gave our scoreless
runs,
innings?
yeah.
That's incredible.
How about that?
88 pitches or something like that, you guys.
I don't know what.
38 years old.
I don't know what to say. I mean, maybe you should get Crawford over there, Brandon. He wanted to pitch. He finally got a chance to pitch. Maybe he should come back as a pitcher because he has a heck of an arm. But good for Pablo. He loves the game. He loves to play, and he's doing what he loves.
Give me one Boch before we go. When Rebe hits the home run, what does Boch say?
What does Boch say when he hits the home run? Oh, I love a good tonk. Used to call the home runs a tonk. You hit a tonk. You hit a tonk. You
Very
play
good.
The next day.
Oh my God! You hit, you don't sit.
That's right.
Uribe was my favorite, one of the favorites of mine back in the in the championship years in 2010. Being in the stands, everybody, ooh, Rebe.
That's right. That's right.
That was just the
Champion.
best.
Yeah.
Champion.
Yep.
Champion.
He could play solid D. He was a solid defender.
Knew the
Came up
game.
as a shortstop. Knew the game. And got big hits.
White Sox. Remember that.
Start with
Came
White
up.
Sox, Colorado. Yeah, he's been around a little bit.
Good. Hey, great to have you here. We'll
Great.
do this again in 2 weeks.
I'm looking forward to being back in the bunker with Sandra and you, and
Yeah.
that's going to be the last one.
Yeah,
huh?
to St. Louis. I'll be back up for that one. We'll do it here in the bunker that last Sunday.
Well, good. I'm glad we're doing it in the bunker. We'll
All
see
right.
you in a couple weeks.
Well, have a great week.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
All
Will.
right. All right. More coming up right here. KNBR 680 1045.
Talking baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR 1045 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans, Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle, Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it. It's been a pleasure working with Rick Robin this year. Rick Robin, ROBBEN, NapaConstruction.com. Rick, the last time you were on with us, you told us about kitchen and bath remodeling, but there's a lot more going on up in your area.
Yes, there is. ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, which are known as the granny units. We can do your existing garage, attached garage, even building a new unit in the back. And so what we do is come out, bring our architect out there. Such a great thing. No sewer hookup fees, no water hookup fees. So that's what we do.
Rick, how does one start the process with you? How does one get in touch with you?
So you call Tammy, 707-332-7575, 7 days a week.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, the thing I like about this, no problem for me. You come out with the plans, the permits, everything is in-house, no fees, and you get a new unit that you can rent out and get money back on your investment right away. I like it, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Love talking to you.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com.
People like Horace Stoneham who care so much, that when they trade me in 66 to St. Louis, Horace called me on Monday crying. He told Orlando, I don't want to trade you. Don't worry about it. San Francisco Giants in my heart. I'm so lucky that they're working, for the team. I want to say thank you to Larry Bear, to Peter McGowan, to Bob Larry, because they brought me back to baseball.
Yes.
So I'm a blessed person.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
All right. We love having Mark Simon on. Of course, that is John Miller giving him the introduction. Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter. We have him on every Saturday and Sunday, or either one. And Mark, how are you?
I'm good. That made me laugh just because of the awkwardness of him saying that after hearing Cepeda talk. And you cut out the oh-no's today, even though they were pretty pertinent after the way yesterday went for the Mets.
I know. Well, look, let's put it this way. Now, everyone knows you're the Met fan, but this is a heck of a race with the Braves. Day after day, and Sale pitches a great game against the Dodgers last night. His 17th win for the Braves. And when I went on the air yesterday, Sandra said it was 4-0 Mets.
Yep.
And I said, wow, this is looking good. And then by the end of our show, Sandra says, by the way, the Phillies came back and won 6-4. So talk a little bit about what's going on here, because you could put a blanket over it and say, look, San Diego's here today. They have to win these games. And Arizona got lit up. Milwaukee was up 12-0 on them yesterday and ended up winning that game. How about that?
Yeah, so I want to start actually with giving Bryce Harper props, because I thought that with all of the MVP talk that Francisco Lindor gets, Bryce Harper's got an OPS plus of 150, meaning that his OPS, 914, is way better than the Major League average. And what he did yesterday was MVP caliber. He hit a home run to get them on the board. He hit another home run to get them close, and then they win the game late, and they make a kind of a funky defensive play at the end of the game to win 2. Phillies still have something left, clearly, and the Phillies are going to be tough to beat, even though the Mets got them on Friday. And I think the road to the World Series probably goes through Wheeler and Suarez and Nola and whoever else they throw out there, and whatever they put in the bullpen, which at the end now is Estevez, but could be Hoffman or Alvarado or Kirkring, because they've got a lot of depth pitching-wise.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. People have asked me, and I've said the Phillies. That's the they asked me what I think about at least the pennant, and I say the Phillies. That to me looks like the most solid team right now. But a couple of things in that game. Ronald Acuna's brother was brought up by the Mets. And, of course, anytime you mention Ronald Acuna, you think of 40-40 and, all the stuff that he does. He's out for the year, of course, for the Braves. But the kid brother was brought up who stole 40 at Syracuse, and he played yesterday and got a couple of hits. What do you think of him? Is he any good?
He looked good. He looked more like a Jose Reyes kind of spark plug player than an Acuna, Ronald Acuna type. He doesn't have the power that Ronald does, but he looks like an explosive kind of player who can impact games with his speed, although I think he's been caught stealing a fair number of times. So yeah, he's going to be, he's like a wild card for them down the stretch, just see what he can do and see if he can impact a race. With regards to the NL wild card, it's funny, every time I think the Mets are locked in, they slip back, just like they did yesterday, and the bullpen tends to be the culprit. I do think that whoever gets that 6 is going to beat Milwaukee. That's just my take on it. I could be wrong, but it just feels like I feel like the 6 is going to be stronger than the Brewers, whether that's the Mets or the Braves.
Yeah, we'll see. Milwaukee is awfully good. They're a good baseball team. Pat Murphy's got them playing like a college team. They've bought into it, and you better beat them in the first 6 innings. Because
yeah, they don't have the starting pitching.
They don't need it. All they need is 6 innings. And they'll go to Aaron Ashby in the 4th or 5th inning. And I'm telling you, their bullpen impressed me. But I like the way they play ball. And that's the thing. And they play ball, and they've got a star in this Churio. So, all right, this is going to be good. All right, but
Can I give you a stat, by the way?
Yeah, please do. Go ahead.
So last night, did you see that Frelick catch? Sal Frelick made this incredible catch
over
at the right
fence,
field
right?
fence.
Yeah.
Over the fence. It was the Brewers' 10th home run robbery this season, which ties the, quote, record that we've, in the 21 years that we've tracked it. 10 is tied for the most. The Angels had 10 last year. And also, last night we had 3. You had the one in the Braves-Dodgers game. I think it was Chris Taylor. You had the one in the Phillies-Mets game, and you had the Brewers game. That gives us 75 home run robbing catches this year, which is also a record for the 21 years that we've been tracking.
All right. How do you explain that?
I explain it by explaining that we have great outfielders who are really athletic, who can go over the wall, and a few ballparks that have short fences, too.
Okay. No, I agree with you. You know, when I watched baseball 40, 50 years ago, Devon White, he was one of those guys for Toronto and the Angels.
For sure.
He did it all the time, but he was the only one. No one else really went over the wall like that. Okay, all right, good explanation. Yep. Well, today we got the Padres here. Musgrove was very good last night. Cease was good Friday night, and today we get Martin Perez, who looks like he's gets hit a little more home runs and all this kind of stuff. And, the Giants, maybe he'll score a run today.
Yeah, maybe, but he's had his good moments, too. He had his last start. He's someone who the changeup hasn't been there for him all year, but it was there for him in his last start against the Tigers. Threw a lot of strikes with it, got a lot of outs with it. That's not happening this year. Padres have tweaked him a little bit in terms of how he pitches. He's throwing outside more. He's avoiding damage at the top of the zone, which was a problem for him earlier this season. He's been a lot better. So, and the way the Giants are going, every guy looks really tough at this point.
Yeah, 121 innings, 139 hits, 20 homers, and 121 innings, 43 walks, 96 strikeouts. First pitch, 339 with 5 homers. Again, 2 out, runners in scoring position, 6 for 40. So you got to make it happen. You don't want him to be crafty at the end to try to, stop you. And that's the problem with the Giants. They just strike out too much, and they can't get a runner in from third with less than 2 outs. So
the Orioles are up next, and the Orioles seem to have the same problem.
Tell me.
Yeah, the Orioles' offense the last 2 months has been essentially what it has looked a lot like what the Giants looked like the last 3 days.
Yeah,
they're hitting like low 200s, not a lot of power. Baltimore was great the first 3 months of the season, but since in July they flipped. July and August, they're a sub-500 team. They are not imposing the fear on teams that they were imposing earlier this season. The defense is okay. It's not necessarily great. Pitching, they've got a couple of guys at the top with Eflin and Burns, but beyond that, starting pitching, who knows? Yeah, they might be coming at the right time for the Giants, or the Giants might be coming at the right time for them.
Yeah, Mark, that was my question I was going to ask you. So who are the Giants going to run into in Baltimore, and do we have a shot at maybe getting some runs?
Yeah, shoot. I think I think that the hope is going to be that that they're just gonna snap out of this, because whether it's Corbin Burns or Zach Eflin or whoever, they have to. I think some of this is now kind of self-inflicted and mental. They have the lineup. If you look at the lineup that the Giants put out there, for the most part, they're putting 7 average or better major league hitters out there every game, and it shouldn't go 0-0-0 like this. And yeah, that's kind of where I stand at this point. I don't know that it matters who they say.
Well, I like Corbin Burns. If I always said Logan Webb needs a buddy, and Corbin Burns would be very good here. That's my off-season target, Corbin Burns as a starting pitcher. I like what he does. Not a great year, but he's a pro. And I think
in answer to the question, they're going to see Albert Suarez in the first game, and he's actually been pretty good for Baltimore. His ERA is in the low 3s, averages less than a hit an inning, doesn't allow a lot of home runs, doesn't necessarily strike guys out, but he finds ways to get guys out.
Let's talk about this for a second. It is Orlando Cepeda's celebration of life today, and we've had some, as you heard, some of the cuts that Raf has put in here from interviews I did with Orlando over the years. What's your thought about Orlando Cepeda?
If you look at the first few years of his career, his numbers run parallel to some of the all-time greats. Frank Robinson, Hank Aaron, Ken Griffey Jr. He was such a good player. For the people, I guess, no offense, that are your age and above, and my dad's age and above, they certainly remember him. I would imagine when you look at that 1961 season, like I was thinking, like that's not with the walks, but that's a Juan Soto 46 and 142. That's an Aaron Judge kind of season. I think if he had finished a little stronger, like he retired at 36, if he retires at 40 and kept playing like guys do now and been a DH, he's looking at 500 home runs. He's looking at 1,500 RBIs. He's hitting close to 300 anyway. He's someone that WAR doesn't necessarily do justice to because he was a first baseman, and first baseman, unless you're like Lou Gehrig, aren't going to be like epic in WAR. But he's someone that certainly should be remembered as a great of the game.
Well, the one thing I say about him, unanimous Rookie of the Year.
Unanimous.
Yep.
Unanimous MVP in 1967.
Yeah,
So-
and that 1961 year, he was the runner-up for the MVP that year. And like you said, I think, Mark, that really can kind of give a descriptive term to what that was in 1961 when you relate it to an Aaron Judge-like season. That's just incredible.
Put that on your plate.
11-time All-Star, and he was the first Puerto Rican to start in an All-Star game. I thought that was a really cool little tidbit there.
Do you have anything on Clemente? Because we're going to talk about Clemente a little bit today.
Well, sure. It being Roberto Clemente Day across Major League Baseball, 12 Gold Gloves, which is tied for most by an outfielder. That's the thing that obviously at our company we pride ourselves on recognizing defensive excellence. Great hitter too with the 3,000 base hits. Humanitarian. It's actually our company is doing something where we're having people watch the Roberto Clemente American Experience documentary, the PBS one, and then we're going to gather and talk about it as a way of recognizing and honoring him. Highly recommend the David Moranis book as well, although the ending,
Good one. Yeah.
the ending is very tough read about what happened at the end of his life, but forever remembered as a baseball player and as a humanitarian.
Boy, Clemente Day and Orlando celebration. How about that? Yeah. Landon Roop, I will leave you with this. Runners in scoring position, 7 for 36. Runners in scoring position, 2 out, 4 for 20. So
That's good.
He's a young kid, and, I like what he throws, so we'll see what he does today. Giants have to score a run. Give him a run.
Yes.
All right. Mark, have a great afternoon, and be well, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks. Tim.
Thanks,
All right.
Mark. See
All
ya.
right. That is Mark Simon. More coming up. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader. Gene Pagano checked in from the Tides up in Bodega Bay, and he said that with fall just around the corner, they're expecting some of the best weather of the year. Down at the Tides Wharf, there's something for everyone, from a great waterside restaurant serving the freshest seafood available to a fish market offering a wide selection of delicacies to take home, as well as a gift shop stocked with a fantastic variety of gifts, souvenirs, and clothing items. How about that? And just across Highway 1, there's the Inn at the Tides with its incredible bay views and the recently reopened Bayview Dining Room and its incredible menu that provide guests with a unique dining experience. Wow. So if you're looking to get away this fall for just a day or perhaps a little longer, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Laurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
But at 58, you are a first baseman, and you get to start the first game in San Francisco. How do you even find out that you're in the lineup?
Well, the game's supposed to start 1:15. I didn't sign the contract that day. So I told Ruben Gomez, Ruben, I haven't signed anything. So finally, they called Chuck Finney. He came down to the clubhouse, and they forgot.
And there's the Dodgers. What, Don Drysdale the first game?
Yeah. He knocked me down the first pitch.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he knocked me down the pitch. I get up. Then I hit into double play.
I love it. Sandra, isn't he the best?
That's just so great to hear this stuff. And Marty, hearing your young voice, too, talking to Orlando. This is amazing.
Oh, goodness. Bruce Jenkins, good morning. How are you?
Good. You know, he homered off Don Besson in that very first game at Seal Stadium later after Drysdale was gone. So vintage Orlando. That's wonderful.
Yeah, they forgot to sign him to a contract.
I just have this image in my head of him like scribbling something and then running out onto the field.
Yeah, I mean the great thing is that they got it done. I mean today, they'd haggle over it for a week.
Oh boy, what a celebration today, Bruce. Maybe a little bit of your thoughts about Orlando.
Well, he was truly a lovely man and a man of immense pride and accomplishment, and his story is just so remarkable. His father, Pedro, who they called Perucho, was one of the greatest players ever to come off the island of Puerto Rico or anywhere in Latin America. They called him the Babe Cobb, Puerto Rico, and so Cepeda lived up with this as his father, but he lived up to the name. I mean, he became the baby bull and a Hall of Famer and a truly great hitter. And his own idol, aside from his dad, he had Clemente as an idol. He met Felipe Alou when he got to AAA in the Giants system, and he was with the Giants, as you said, from the very beginning, from 1958. And then that mattered a lot to the fans. They say how they took a while to embrace Willie Mays, but Cepeda was one of their guys from the very start. And he was lucky because the Giants had Bill White, a really good first baseman who went on to great things with the Cardinals at first base, but he was in the Army, and that gave Orlando his way in, and he never looked back. And Bill White got traded, but just a great man. And he had that terribly unfortunate incident when he was arrested in 1975 for taking delivery of marijuana, and he claimed he was a user but not a dealer, which is a story that everyone basically believed. But he served 10 months in a minimum security facility, and he was a pariah back home. He got death threats, and he was nothing. He lost all his money. He literally had zero. But he came back from all of that, and he always credited embracing Buddhism for getting him back in his mind and turning his life around. He met his third wife, who would be his third wife. They moved to the Bay Area, and he became an ambassador for the Giants, just on the strength of his personality, the strength of his character, and how everyone felt better being around him. My wife was a photographer for the Giants for 20 years, and Orlando was always around, and they got very close just because you just couldn't help but gravitate toward Orlando, and I'm really glad they're doing that today.
Boy, well said, Bruce. Boy, that was very well said. A couple of things struck me. The Bill White trade for Sad Sam Jones, who had the greatest curveball ever.
Yeah, never happy. The man was never happy.
No, Sad Sam Jones. He had a toothpick all the time. That's what he had. But big player in the early 50s. And then people should understand Orlando was traded from the Giants in one of the worst trades in baseball history. In 1966, in May of 66, he was traded to the Cardinals. And why was he traded? Herman Franks didn't like him. And who knows what Willie Mays said at that point, but Orlando had a bad knee, and he hadn't played for part of 65 and 66, and he was traded when they played the Cardinals. He went from one clubhouse to the other, and he was embraced in St. Louis, and of course 67, they win, and he's unanimous MVP. And the other thing I always remember about Orlando is he was so good, he put Willie McCovey on the bench.
Yeah. I don't know, you might be talking later about the Alou brothers and how they had them all at one time. And those guys were all tremendous players. And on another team, I think they probably could have used them all three in the outfield, kind of regularly. But with the Giants, you had Mays in center. They're playing McCovey in left because they got Cepeda at first. Maybe Cepeda gets some time in left. They got Harvey Keene, and it's a miracle they ever did get out there together, and it was very fleeting. But you talk about different times for the Giants with Mays, McCovey, Cepeda, my goodness, and everything else. But when Orlando went to St. Louis and became a legendary player there. He hit fourth. It was Brock, Flood, Maris, Cepeda, and Gibson on the mound. I can finish it. McCarver, Shannon, Javier, Maxville, and it's just I love those teams mostly because of him. Because I love to watch him hit. I love to watch him snap one down the line and then double up the alley in right center. You couldn't really pitch to him, and so that's so many good memories with him.
Well, thank goodness for Pat Gallagher of the Giants, Mario Alioto, Larry Baer, who embraced Orlando and brought him back, and he became a Hall of Famer. But the beginning of his career, and he had the bad knee, which cut him back a little bit. But, God, he went to the Braves and played with Hank Aaron and Dusty. What a career. Fabulous, fabulous doubles, stolen bases. I mean, the guy was ferocious. And plus, as Rick Swig, our good friend, will tell you, a musician and salsa and blah, blah, blah. I mean, the man was everything. He was everything. Really?
I don't think the knee bothered him as much up at the plate as it did trying to dance late at night to the jazz and Latin music in San Francisco. He couldn't unveil all of his moves.
Well, you brought up the Alou brothers. Let's talk about it. This is the anniversary of the time that the three Alou brothers were actually in the outfield together as San Francisco Giants. How about that?
Yeah. Well, Felipe was the second player ever to come out of the Dominican. He was a pioneer right after Ozzie Virgil, and so he became a fixture with the Giants. But like they say, the outfield was really crowded. But Matty Alou was a left-handed hitter and a real genius with the bat. I mean, there was one year where Matty and Felipe were 1-2 in the batting race.
Wow!
It wasn't like the National League now where you hit 302 and you're some kind of legend. I mean, they're way up there. In '66, you imagine the players they were up against. And Jesus could always hit. He was a quirky hitter with an odd stance, and he could hit a pitch that literally sailed over his head down the right field line for a double. I mean, he was like a Yogi Berra kind of bad ball hitter. But they did in '63. They've got them all now on the team. And there was a game where they all got in the game, but they didn't all get in the outfield at the same time. But a few days later in Pittsburgh, Al Dark moved Felipe to left and put Jesus in right. And then later he removed Mays, put Matty in left, Felipe in center, and they got Jesus in there. For 2 innings they were out there together, which is really very, very special. It happened a couple more times during that season. But like I say, the outfield was a little bit crowded. This wasn't an experiment that you. It was a little more than an experiment because of the legendary status of their other outfielders.
Boy, great Giant teams in those days. Jesus Alou rolled his neck all the time. Remember?
Yeah.
And the batters, he looked like he needed a chiropractor every time he would get up there.
Yeah.
And he would just swing at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter. And he had a little bit of power. Matty Alou turned into a batting champion when he went to Pittsburgh, and Harry Walker taught him how to hit down on the ball on the turf, and all of a sudden he became a batting title. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. There's so many people remember Clemente and Dave Cash and Al Oliver, but Matty Alou was a big part of that. Yet another exceptional hitter with the Pirates. They became so likable because of that. Richie Hebner and on, Bob Robertson. But Matty Alou had a fine career. Jesus, I think, he actually played for the A's. He was on a world yeah, they all did. Jesus was part of the world championship team, and I'm sure he looks back with fondness on his career because he was always very respected as a hitter and put up some good numbers, especially in the minor leagues. He was a terror in the minors.
Well, good stuff.
Yeah, I'll just mention right now that the Alou brothers played a combined 47 big league seasons and amassed 5,094 hits.
That's just beautiful. Is that great?
Pretty cool.
And Hank Greenwald had the best. All the brothers, Bob Alou, Skip to my Lou. Remember when Hank Greenwald would do that? He would do that shtick on the air. Funny. Very funny.
Yeah, those are a couple brothers you didn't hear about, but they were pretty good hitters too.
Right. Hank was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, he really was.
Good stuff. All right, good stuff. All right, Bruce, how's this team? Can they score a run? My goodness.
They'll never score again. They will never score another run. They might not get another hit.
My goodness.
Jeez. I know. It's they're just being so outplayed by better teams. They're not getting really crushed, but it just becomes so evident as these games go on that There's so much star power coming in against them, and they just don't have it. They can't answer with it, and they'll have a good game, but then they come back to just where they can't get a run across. We talked yesterday about their weak hitting with runners in scoring position, like a man on third and one out, and how they just the strikeout is their answer to that situation, like way too often. But the defense is what got Melvin last night. I mean, Luciano completely blowing a play, Ramos making a bizarre sort of lollipop throw to nobody really, and they just even Webb made a weird throw to first. It wasn't even close the night before. So it's difficult times, and as they play out the string, it's not exactly riveting theater.
No, but it's September baseball. And, hey, how are you? We're in the bunker. I love being in the bunker. Everybody waves at you, right, Sandra?
I know. It's the best.
The old days. I love it. Everyone walks by. I'm waiting for Mike Murphy to come by.
We're seeing all of our friends walking by. It's such a special day. So everybody's out, and everyone's wearing their Panama hats, Bruce. They got the Cepeda 30 logo on it, and it's just really special.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Murph would come by and say, the professor. You got the professor on today, huh?
I'm sure we'll see him.
That's the thing about baseball. The next day is always a new day, and when you have something like this, last night it's really kind of forgotten. Not for Bob Melvin, but I mean, if you're a fan out there, you go, this could be a really fun day. That's the great thing about baseball.
Well, it's true. Look, Martin Perez is going today, and he's been knocked around, 20 homers, 121 innings.
Mm-hmm.
He's 312 games in his career. He's been around. The Giants have seen him a couple of times this year. They've scored 5 runs off him already. And the kid on the other side, Landon Root, Bruce, he's actually a pleasant surprise. Every time he's been given the ball, he's handled it. And let's see what he does against San Diego. He's seen San Diego 3 times in his career. They haven't touched him yet.
Yeah, he's got a lot of presence out there. He knows he's good. He knows that the curveball is not going to be hit if he can put it where he wants to, which he usually does. He's got a ton of movement. Good fastball. I mean, in spring training, guys were going out of their way to mention to writers, "Have you seen this guy? This guy's something new." I mean, and he has been a starter in the past. I'm sure that's what he'd like to do. So depending on what happens with the opt-outs, he's going to try to make a bid to be a starter. Get him and Birdsong in there, a nice infusion of youth, and could be exciting.
And in spring training, remember I had him on. He was the one who told me he killed a bear. Remember he had this whole story in North Carolina, and I don't know if it was a grizzly bear.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, he had a fight with a bear. Come on, is he going to worry about facing, Jackson Merrill? I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
And if a bear happens to come into the clubhouse, I mean, this is your guy to calm things down.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll have him start a game against the Cubs and see how it goes.
Well, it's so funny. Remember when Roger Clemens couldn't beat the A's? Dave Stewart was the one.
Right. Yeah.
So when Clemens pitched against the A's, if Stewart wasn't pitching, they'd put a cutout of Dave Stewart in the stands so Clemens could look at it. And then
Clemens was really affected by.
Remember, they kicked him out of the game.
Yeah, Stewart. Oh, yeah, he kicked himself out. Really, he couldn't beat Stewart, and he knew it, and it gnawed at him. And Stewart was never happier about anything in his career, I don't think, except winning the whole thing.
All right, so they'll put a picture of a bear in the stands today. I'll do that for Landon Roop. So pretty good baseball, Bruce, going on around the big leagues. I mean, the whole thing in the Yankees and Red Sox, interesting yesterday. They had Garrett Cole intentionally walk Rafael Devers, and the inning blew up. Nobody on base. They put Devers on, and next thing you knew, the Yanks are down 7-1.
Yeah, it was just strange. I mean, he's really owned Cole. He's hit 8 homers off him lifetime, and the first time up, Cole hit him. And, the Sox were certain it was intentional. Who knows? And then the next time up, Cole's out there holding up 4 fingers with nobody on. Like he made it very clear he didn't have to tell me to walk him. I want to walk this guy. And next thing you know, they get 3 runs and the game gets away from him, and it's a tough loss. But and then Devers later on he got a double off Cole. I mean, talk about ownage. This guy is complete ownership. He made the down payment, and he's got the deed.
Boy. Well, it's a crazy series. Yanks. First of all, the Yanks are a couple of games up on the Orioles. Orioles not hitting a lot right now. They've got the Tigers today, who just do not go away, and the Tigers are still chasing Minnesota. Bruce, we talked about that. And as I said it yesterday, I don't know if you agree yet, but Minnesota's in trouble. They're 2.5 up on the Tigers, I think, and Seattle now. And the Orioles are a couple of games back of the Yankees. But Aaron Judge electrified everybody. He hadn't homered in 16 games. Everyone was, going nuts about that. And he hit a grand slam to win the game on Friday night.
Yeah, which, is not surprising at all. It's like not surprising that Harper hit 2 homers after the long drought he was in. But that's just Judge. I mean, when you hit 62 homers as a Yankee, you're built for moments. You're not going to shy away. So it was great to see. It was totally not a shock, and a big deal for the Yanks is they've got their issues like everyone else does. But yeah, Minnesota they took a bad loss. They're kind of reeling. They could really use Joe Ryan, the kid out of Marin, the pitcher who's out for the year, and they're getting Correa back today. They got Buxton back, but you wonder if they're going to be able to close in, because they're 6.5 back, and Kansas City is ahead of them, and it doesn't seem like it's going to happen really. But at least they have their guys, and Detroit, even though they took a really bad loss, was it Seattle? Trying to think what happened there, but I think Julio Rodriguez did it again.
Yeah, that was Seattle. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that win was the Seattle win was over Texas, but Seattle all of a sudden, they're coming on a little bit, because Gilbert didn't have a good start against the Rangers, but Julio hits one into the upper deck for the second straight game. Then Raley hits one to tie it. And Arozarena walks it off with a single. So all of a sudden, these guys that we were wondering, is he's going to make any difference? And all of a sudden, it is making a difference. And they're right there.
Yeah, Seattle and the Tigers are tied right now. And
2.5 out.
Tigers are playing the Orioles right now. It's the top of 6, and they're up 2-0.
Tigers are up?
The Tigers are up, too.
Yeah, the Orioles don't score many runs. That's what Mark Simon was saying.
Right.
The Giants are going there. And this could be 1-0 games.
Well, it's strange because they're so built around Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, aside from Santander and all the other guys. But those are the 2 young guys that everyone talks about, and they're both not hitting right now, which is a real blow to the team. Henderson did homer yesterday, so maybe he's snapping out of it. But they haven't been hitting. The big deal yesterday was that Corbin Burns finally showed up and pitched 7 shutout innings.
Yeah.
And that's against the Tigers, and that's huge, because the way that the Yanks are loading up with Stanton and Rizzo coming back, and Heald back, and just Stanton and Soto, they've got to have Burns pitching like that every 5th day.
Yeah, Burns is my target in free agency. That's the guy I want to help Logan Webb out. Well, the Triple Crown's still in play for Aaron Judge. We do this every week. Witt is 333. Judge is 321. National League, it's Arise who's 320. Ozuna 305. That's it. Judge 52. Ohtani's got 47 in the National League. Santander's got 41. Judge 130 in RBIs. Ramirez 107. So that's going to be fine for him. Damas leads the National League, believe it or not, with 107. He's ahead of Ohtani. How about all that?
That is amazing. I mean, Judge, he's going to have the homers and RBIs, and he's only a little bit behind Bobby Witt.
Yeah, you can catch him.
Yeah, he's not just a home run hitter. I mean, 320 tells you something. He could get a little streak, and he said the Triple Crown is definitely in play for him. I think Ohtani, Adames is going crazy. But he's only up 3 on Ohtani. Where Ohtani's going to have trouble is he's hitting 289,
right? And
Arias is going to wind up at probably 330. So,
right,
yeah.
Yeah, Arias was. Boy, I'll tell you, we talked about him with Woe when he was on. Bruce, he's Rod Carew. He's a magician.
Yeah, Caruco compared him to Tony Gwynn last night.
Yeah.
You compared to either one of those guys, I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
But just the way he doesn't just like tap a little grounder through the hole at short when there's nobody there. He jerks it out there. He hammers it. It might be a double. I mean, he reacts so quickly to pitches wherever they are, and he's never thinking home run. He's got a very level swing. It's his bat speed is, according to the stats, is kind of ordinary, but whatever. he's quick. He's incredibly quick to react to a pitch and hit it where it's pitched, and it's just such a fundamental part of the game. And if you can always talk about years gone by, eras gone by when a lot of hitters thought and played and performed like that with great success, and it's rare today. But I taped the Padres game just to see what he's doing, let alone Tatis and Machado.
Yeah, you and I have been talking about him for a few years now.
Yeah, we really have.
Yeah, I like it. One last thing, I guess the Dodgers, they get pasted yesterday. Chris Sale wins his 17th. Verlander, by the way, got a win yesterday finally. But
yeah.
The Dodgers struggling. It continues.
Well, they learned that Glasnow's out probably for the rest of the way. That's just massive blow. They're thinking, well, who's going to start game one? Well, probably Flaherty, but he got lit up by the Braves yesterday. Yeah, Matt Olson all of a sudden is streaking hot again, and Flaherty looked human. And Walker Buehler is self-admittedly terrible, as has been Bobby Miller. So they're looking at Yamamoto and Flaherty and who knows what. It's just going to be really tough. And meanwhile, you got Ohtani carving out this legendary stuff, and Tommy Edman has had a couple of 2-homer games, and Kopech, if they can ever get to the bullpen, he's been lights out. So you can never count them out. But they have so many issues in the rotation. I think we were talking yesterday how the Phillies just look like a better team, and there might be, San Diego. Arizona could wind up being the best team in the league. So tough going.
Yeah,
I feel bad for Dave Roberts.
Yeah, Giants could do some damage to San Diego today if they can beat them. Anytime you beat San Diego with it, you can hurt this division. You can do some damage. And they got the Orioles next. All right, we'll talk to you next week. Giants in Kansas City next week. Thanks, Bruce.
See you, Bruce.
Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Be well. All right, that is Bruce Jenkins. Boy, what a pleasure to always talk ball with him.
Yep.
Well, we only got a couple more weekends after this, right?
That's right.
Kansas City next weekend, and then back here in the bunker, and at 58 Social the last weekend against the Cardinals. All right, we got a good book. And there's Eddie Montague. We got a good book, and that is Keith O'Brien wrote it about Pete Rose called Charlie Hustle. We'll play a few minutes of my interview with Keith O'Brien. This is a good book about Pete Rose. So we'll do that and come back right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco. Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Prepping you for today's orange and black ball game, we now take you back to Talking Baseball with Marty Laurie on KNBR, the sports leader.
Fans, great to have you back with us as we get ready for Giants baseball. What a pleasure to bring Keith O'Brien, a fabulous author, to you today. We'll tell you about the book, but let me tell you something about Keith. He's a New York Times best-selling author of Paradise Falls, Fly Girls, and Outside Shot. He's a finalist for the Penn ESPN Award for Literary Sports Writing and an award-winning journalist. He's written for the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Politico, and his stories have also appeared on National Public Radio and This American Life. Keith, a pleasure to have you with us today. How are you?
I'm great, Marty. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad. And just so we know, the book is Charlie Hustle, and we know that's Pete Rose. The Rise and Fall of Pete Rose and the Last Glory Days of Baseball. And Keith, this is just an outstanding story of the life of Pete Rose from beginning to end, really, in his baseball life and the post-baseball life. Tell me, why Pete Rose for you? Why did you get involved with this?
Well, we all know what happened in 1989. We remember the broad strokes of that story, that he's banned forever for betting on the game and for betting on his own team. I think what we've forgotten, frankly, in the last 35 years is why we ever cared about Pete Rose in the first place, or how he ever came to put himself in a position to be banned from the game forever. And so what I wanted to do with this book, Charlie Hustle, was go back and tell that whole story, the story of the rise and the fall. And, when you do that, Marty, you realize that you simply cannot tell the story of baseball in the 20th century without Pete Rose. He is there on the field, often right in the middle of some of the biggest moments, games, and stories of the latter half of the 20th century. And, what's fascinating is, while we know that he gets banned in 1989, I think we've frankly forgotten how that happened too.
Boy, I'll tell you, when I looked at the title, and the cover of the book is terrific. It's put out by Pantheon. I always like to say we support our independent bookstore up in Montclair. David at the Book Tree can get it for you. But the name Charlie Hustle, not a lot of people know how he got that nickname, Charlie Hustle. Tell us about that. It's a good story in the book.
Yeah, well, he's one of the iconic players, and one reason why he's iconic is the nickname. And he gets this name at the very beginning of his career, even before he's a major leaguer. It happens in March 1963 during spring training. The Yankees are playing the Reds at Old Al Lopez Field in Tampa, Florida, and it's a huge deal. This is before interleague play. The Reds and Yankees never face each other, and these are the preeminent Yankees. We're talking about Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford, Yogi Berra, Roger Maris, and the game's a sellout, and Pete Rose is playing for his life that day. He's playing with Fury. The Fury will come to know him to play with because he's trying to make the opening day roster for the very first time. And during the game, he does all the things we'll see him do later. He's sliding headfirst into bases. He's breaking up double plays, sliding hard into second. And then he leads off the fifth inning with a bunt for a hit. And, this is effectively a scrimmage, right? It's a practice game. And Mickey Mantle and Whitey Ford find the whole thing almost absurd, that this guy is playing so hard. And they give him this name, Charlie Hustle, as sort of a jab, sort of a sarcastic jab at him. They think, frankly, he's playing too hard. But Pete Rose, does something he'll do many times over the course of his career. He rebrands it effectively and turns it into a positive and tells everybody once he makes the Reds that Mickey Mantle liked the way he played and called him Charlie Hustle.
Wow, what a great story. Keith O'Brien with us. Keith, Pete Rose turns out to be the all-time hit leader. Of course, he manages the Reds, and as you said earlier, he gets banned from baseball for betting on baseball. But how does he become Pete Rose, the ball player, Pete Rose, the man? And we'll talk of some of the decisions he makes in his life, which are just amazing that he could even be in baseball for so many years. So tell us a little bit about how he becomes Pete Rose.
Yeah, I think that's one important thing, and one reason why we gravitated to his story as fans. He is an ordinary working class kid from an ordinary working class neighborhood on the west side of Cincinnati. He's a kid actually who had ordinary talents and athleticism, who was never the best player on his own youth baseball teams, who was never the best player on his high school baseball teams, and really, gets a shot at the minors through a bit of luck and family connections. But when Pete Rose gets opportunities in his life, in the early years and really throughout his career, he typically makes the most of them. And, he will make that roster in 63, and he will, win the Rookie of the Year. He will win a couple batting titles in the late 1960s. But the moment really in my mind and in my narrative when Pete Rose becomes Pete Rose is the 1970 All-Star Game in Cincinnati, a game that Pete Rose will win for the National League in the bottom of the 12th when he plows into the catcher for the Indians, Ray Fosse, to score the winning run. In a game that is effectively an exhibition game. He's willing to hurt another man to win it. And after that moment, nothing is the same for either man. Ray Fosse, who was one of the best young catchers in the American League, is never the same again. And Pete Rose goes in the opposite direction. He becomes an overnight sensation, and that's the moment when he really becomes Pete Rose.
Wow, it's a really good book. This book, Keith O'Brien did it, and it's Pete Rose, of course, the story of Charlie Hustle. David at the Book Tree up in Montclair, I'm sure, has it. I read the whole book. And normally, when I do these things, I'll skim through it and read parts of it. But this book is really good, and it's almost, going back to my criminal law days, it's almost like a probation officer's report on what he did as a kid and what he was like as a kid and why he ended up doing what he did and the influences on him and all that. So it was more than just Pete Rose, the ball player. I now understood Pete Rose, the person. And so I recommend it. I thought it was really good. So if you want to hear the full interview, it would be on loveofthegameproductions.com or KNBR on the podcast page. The other thing about, I know we've had trouble with the stream this morning. Jane Rubin sent me a note, and other people on Twitter have said it. If you miss any of the interviews or anything, you can hear it on loveofthegameproductions.com, on the KNBR live stream, the YouTube live stream. You can hear it all there. Or, of course, the KNBR podcast page. Everything will be there. So we've covered a lot of ground this morning, so if you missed it, absolutely check that out. But this has been a lot of fun this morning on the show. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, always, Marty.
Yeah, no, this is good. And we have Randy Field is here with his crew doing shooting for the movie. Marty Lurie, The Baseball Mensch, right? Isn't that the movie? Something like that?
Working title?
Yep. The trailer is out. Baseball Mensch, MENSCH.com. Please take a look at it. It's really pretty good.
It's amazing.
Baseballmensch.com, right? Baseballmensch.com. MENSCH.com. All right. All right, that's that. Eddie Montague joins us, a former National League umpire. He was on the Hall of Fame ballot this year. He will get in eventually. I just hope we're both here when you do. But it's great to have you on the show this morning. Eddie Montague, how are you?
Thanks, Marty. That's what Orlando always says, you will be in the Hall of Fame. But then he left, so I was like, I needed his vote.
Well, you were on the ballot this year.
On the ballot.
How about that?
It was humbling. It was just cool to be on a ballot. Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Who else? There was another umpire on the ballot.
Joe West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. I've said this to Josh Rawwich is here, the president of the Hall of Fame. He's here for Orlando's celebration, and we should both talk to him. They should separate the umpires, managers, players. You can't be in the same group with these people because it's a tough sell.
Well, there's only 10 umpires in the history of the game. There's only 10 umpires in the Hall of Fame, and I've worked with some great umpires over the years. So it's kind of sad, but
yeah, I don't like the vote. I don't like the election because they're putting you up against Tony Oliva, Tony La Russa, people like that, and you should be in your own category, and managers should be as well. I don't like them all lumped together. I don't think it's fair.
That's why you're my agent, Marty.
All right. Speaking of an agent, there is a book coming out. I have my movie coming out, which you can look at. What is it, Michael? Baseballmensch.com, right? MENSCH.com. Please look at it for the trailer. But, Eddie, you have a book that will come out that Marcia, your beautiful wife, a fabulous writer, has put together with you the story of your life and your career in baseball, and I have proofread most of it. I think it's fabulous.
Thank you. Well, for years, people keep telling, when I go out and speak with you or speak to somebody, people are always saying, why don't you write a book? Why don't you write a book? And I said, And finally I said, all right, I'll write a book. Who's going to write it? My wife. When I met Marcia in Arizona, my first year in spring training, she was writing for the Casa Grande Dispatch. She just got out of ASU, and she's been working on this for 2 years. I mean, she's not, she's a night owl, so it's like. But every morning I've got something on my chair saying, proofread this, go over this, go over that. So it's been fun. It's great. It's great to reminisce.
It's really good.
Thank you.
It's really good. I got to read it.
Yeah.
It's all her. She's done a great job.
Well, she's got beautiful penmanship. Last night I brought over some pages over to Marty from you, Eddie, and I'm like, who wrote this? The penmanship was beautiful. So shout out to Marcia.
It looks like something that Benjamin Franklin wrote.
Well, she can't read my writing, so I always try to talk into the phone and then have it printed out. So
that's I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's talk about a couple of things. One, I just had that author on, Keith O'Brien, who did the Pete Rose book, which really went into his background growing up and all that. Eddie, you knew Pete Rose.
Yeah.
What? And you were there when he broke Ty Cobb's record, of course. But what about Pete Rose, the man?
I always liked Pete. He was fair with the umpires, and what a great ball player to watch. And I was telling the fellas there, my first game, I broke in Cincinnati when I became a National League umpire, 1976, and there I'm standing next to Pete Rose at third base, and Johnny Bench is behind the plate, and I'm looking at these guys, and I'm thinking, when these guys broke in, I was selling hot dogs at Candlestick Park.
That's in the book.
And now I'm calling them out in strikes.
Yeah.
And but Pete was always great with us. If we needed something, he'd sign a ball for the kids and would always stop and sign balls and stuff. But what a great ball player, and Charlie Hustle. But I tell you, when all that stuff went down, the betting and everything, and this funny story, I probably told you this before. I'm at home plate at the home plate meeting. Tommy Helms brings out the lineups, and it's all over the paper, the betting and everything. And I'm starting to run to first base, and Pete yells at me. He says, Eddie. I'm looking at him. What? I said, Eddie. What? I go over and he goes, who do you like in the Derby? It's a week of the Derby. And I'm going, man, too much.
But you were there when he broke the record. This is in the book too.
Yeah. I was at first base, and first hit, it was his first at bat of the game, hit ball out to left field, and so they stopped the game. It was like 10. Maybe it seemed like forever, 15 minutes, and I just stood alongside with my partner Lee Wire and Steve Garvey there at first base and took it all in. It was very emotional. Tommy Helms and the whole team's out there, and then little Petey came out, and I could look at Pete Rose, the man, the tough guy, and he's got a little tear in his eye. Well, I had a little tear in my eye too, because I was thinking, my dad played against Ty Cobb, and this is something. Wow. And so I didn't say anything right then, but then when Pete came out to play first base, I said, when he shook his hand, I said, congratulations, Pete. I said, that was really touching, really emotional. He said, yeah, I was thinking about my dad. And I said, well, he's here. He goes, no, he died. I said, Pete, he's here, in spirit. But he was fun to watch, though.
Yeah, that's Pete as a student.
Mm-hmm.
You see, as a high school student, and things like, this is Pete Rose, the background you have to know. He would say something like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't the head of his class. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. He was when it came to playing ball, though.
Yeah, but we looked. You were here last night to see this little Luis Arise play.
Yeah.
And boy, Eddie, he just puts the ball where he wants to put it. But you've seen guys over your career. Come on, give me a comp on that.
Yeah, I think Rod Carew and Al Oliver when Al was with Pittsburgh, and then Tony Gwynn. I mean, Tony Gwynn did he was a magician with the bat. Mm-hmm. If he didn't like a pitch, he'd foul it off, and then he'd shoot it through that shortstop side. I mean, just a great hitter and a great person.
Yeah, the other thing on Arise, he's gone 135 at bats without striking out.
That's unbelievable.
Jeez. Yeah, and I said earlier.
You'd punch him out, wouldn't you?
Well, now that he knows this.
Set the story straight, I might.
I told Marty earlier that since he's gotten to San Diego, with runners in scoring position, he's batting over 400. So it's just such an incredible statistic.
Yeah, they could probably use him here.
You've seen September baseball. And look, the Giants haven't scored in three nights. You've seen September baseball before, and, there's a letdown on many teams, and you got to pull yourself together. You're playing teams that are in it, and you could do some damage.
Yeah, like I was listening to Woe this morning talking about it, and it's really it's a competitive nature of you. You don't. Nobody gives up. I mean, guys are still playing. Yeah. They're playing hard and stuff
Making
like
mistakes,
this. But it is a letdown when all of a sudden you're not in the mix. And but you know what? You just keep fighting, you keep hustling.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes, defensive mistakes, and you run into some good pitching. I was thinking back to last time 3 shutouts. It goes to 92. And I didn't look it up, but there was a period of 3 in 1992. I guess Dusty was the manager then, where they went 3 times getting shut out 3 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, Sandro looked that up for us.
Yeah, I'm on it.
In 1992. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Orlando. Let's talk about Orlando for the celebration of life. You're here for that. Is Marcia coming today, your wife?
No, it's a little early. I was out here
She's
at
9:30,
9:30,
right,
and I think she was going to bed when I came out. Got up.
Yeah.
But she's doing that book and stuff. But Orlando. So when I was 9 years old, I went to opening day at Seal Stadium. My dad took me to the first ball game. And, when you walk in as a little kid, the grass and the green grass and everything's kind of a blur. But Orlando, the baby bull, had his first hit and his first home run. And I think he won the hearts of the San Francisco people. And, Orlando Cepeda, he's up with the bases jammed. Orlando Cepeda with a wham, bam, he hit a grand slam.
Wow.
Danny Kaye.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But Orlando, but it was a thrill, and I really didn't get to know Orlando till all the times he came up in the press box, and he sits with my baseball guru across from me now, and the two of them would go back and forth with names I've never heard, and
There's Murph.
There's Murph.
There's Murph.
They were matching names.
Come on, Murph.
Hey, Murph.
Hey, Murph. I said on the air, I said, Murph,
Say hi, Murph.
I miss Murph coming in. Come here for a second. I miss Murph coming by when we do the show, and he would always wave to me, and then I'd come in the clubhouse and he'd say, "Where's the professor?"
Where's the professor?
I love it, Murph. Come on, Murph, just say hello. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Good.
Looking sharp, Murph.
Special day about Orlando.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Come on, Murph, you were there in 1958 when he broke in.
He was a bat boy.
I was a bat boy around here.
Wow. And Orlando, I've had clips on of some of my conversations with Orlando today. He said he didn't have a contract. They had to rush a contract down to the clubhouse. They forgot to sign him.
Did they really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Eddie Logan never told me that.
Yeah, they forgot to sign him. Chubb Feeney had to run down with the contract.
That must have been in Seal Stadium.
Yeah. And he said that Drysdale knocked him down in the first inning.
Wow. It's been a long time since I've been out there, so...
Good to see you.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right.
Where's the professor today?
The professor was on at 9:15. He was there. We were on for 40 minutes today.
Okay.
And we talked about you.
All right, kiddo. Thank you.
All right, Murph.
All right.
You look great.
Thank
God,
you.
Murph looks good, huh?
No.
The wonderful Mike
That's
Murphy.
when I first met Murph back then when he was a bat boy.
I'll see you out there. You going to be up here?
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Live radio, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Come on. Plus, we're on the stream.
I know. I had Murph on there. If you guys are watching the stream, he's looking dapper as always.
Yeah.
Mike
Hey,
Murphy.
come on,
He's
he looks
fantastic.
great, huh?
Like I said, I've known Murph since I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Played first base for my dad's giant rookie team.
Well, people should remember your dad did sign Willie Mays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was incredible being at Rickwood with you, and you had your boys out there, Eddie,
Yeah.
and just I could see how much it meant to all of you guys to be there at Rickwood Field.
You know, I've taken them to World Series All-Star games, and I'm sitting there in the stands, and they said, "Dad, you've never sat in the stands with us before." And I had to think about that. And they said, "Dad, you've never had a beer in the stands with us." I said, "Well, let's have two." But it was great. And they said,
Good fun.
and they told me afterwards, they said, "Dad, of all the trips you've taken us on, this was the best trip ever."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
You know, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
But Orlando, you know, we're talking about him, and so like I said, I enjoyed sitting up there with you in the press box, and there we go up to Mr. Byers' suite, and all you guys would be going back and forth. But Orlando retired in '74, so I didn't get to work his games. Just so I didn't have Mays, but I did have Orlando when I umpired in the Puerto Rico League. And my first real run-in with Orlando was the league president, Puerto Rican League, sent out a thing saying everybody has to be in uniform, top to bottom. So they were on Orlando because he was wearing these beautiful bright blue shoes, but the rest of the team were wearing black shoes. So I said, he comes up to bat, and I'm the home plate umpire. I said, Orlando, I said, after this at bat, when you go in there, you got to change those shoes. We got a letter from the league off. And he looked at me. He was surprised. He says, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, I am the king of this island." I said, "Well, that's great, King. After this inning, go change your shoes or you're done." And being the Hall of Famer and the class guy he is that he went in and changed his shoes.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I didn't know that you umpired in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I was there 1 year. I didn't last too long there. I threw out, I think, everybody but the league president. They called me. My nickname was Short Fuse. Oh, Short Fuse.
You didn't mess around as an umpire.
No, I tried to be fair, but I stood my ground.
Yes, you did. Come on, didn't you throw out an owner?
Harmon Burns. I didn't throw him out. I reported him for screaming at us coming off the field, but it actually wasn't Harmon. It was his son-in-law.
It was Rob Dean.
And the thing that came out of that, and Harmon got fined. We were walking. This was in Candlestick, but the good thing that came out of that is the next year we're down at Don and Charlie's. They're having the owners meeting, and Larry Bear says, "Hey, Eddie, go over and say hello to Harmon." And I went over and I got him in a headlock. From then on, we were the best of friends, he and his wife, Sue. And so I'm glad that happened. What a wonderful family. I mean, just a great man. Yeah.
Eddie, you're a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You are.
Thank you very much.
National League umpire.
Yeah,
Very
National
good.
League umpire.
And the book. I can't wait for the book.
Thank you.
It's going to be good.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
All right.
Eddie.
Sandra. Thank you,
Sandra,
Marty.
wonderful.
You know, I think I'm going to go have a cha-cha bowl today in the spirit of Orlando Cepeda, and everybody should do the same.
Yeah. And does everyone get a Panama hat today? Is that the deal?
I think it's
It's
just
just people
the
wearing
staff and
Around
all
the park?
press. Yeah.
Is that it? Okay.
So everybody, make sure you're in your seats by 12:30 sharp.
Okay.
There's going to be a lot.
Or
of
you're
good
out of
stuff.
here.
Or you're out. Eddie will throw you out.
Boo! Yeah, you got to boo Eddie. Yeah, that's it. All right. Great show today. Boy, a lot of fun. Raph, good job. And this is what Sunday baseball. This is what it's all about. But the Giants are playing the Padres today, and Landon Roop. It'll be fun to see him on the hill, and Martin Perez for San Diego in a game that they have to win. And I'd like to see the Giants break loose a little bit today. I know they're out there right now taking infield and outfield, and Bob Melvin is not happy. So this should be an interesting ball game today after the celebration of life for Orlando Cepeda. Sandra, great job.
Thanks, Marty. Fantastic.
All right, Raph, great job also. Thank you for getting those cuts of Orlando. They really, really were special. All right, Walter Icaboseta coming up with our Giants warm-up, and we'll be back with you next week with the Giants in Kansas City. So talk to you next Saturday right here, KNBR 680 1045, the sports leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans, I love to talk about my good friends at Georgie Brothers Furniture. They've served the Bay Area for over 90 years. Their talented staff work as a team to help their customers find beautiful pieces of furniture to invest in. The 50,000 square foot showroom, you've heard of it, is full of some of the finest manufacturers of furniture, carpets, and window coverings. Now, one of the most popular furniture lines that I own is Stressless. You know, I love it. They make high-quality, comfortable furniture, including sectionals, sofas, love seats, single reclining chairs, as well as the one I've got, and that is the chair and ottoman. I love it. Starting August 30th and running all the way until October 21st, there's a new Stressless promotion. It's called Fall Savings. During this sale, you'll receive an instant 10% savings on all Stressless furniture. This can easily add up to hundreds of dollars. It's an unbelievable savings on one of the most well-made furniture products today. That's Georgie Brothers Furniture. The showroom is in South San Francisco with free parking. Since 1933, the best source for home furnishings. Visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember to tell them Marty sent you. Experience the epitome of luxury and craftsmanship with Inicio Windows and Doors, another exciting product line from BMD Manufacturing. Inicio Windows and Doors sets the standard in ultra-premium European design. Wow. for the most demanding American building standards. Available both in steel and aluminum, they are meticulously engineered to elevate your living space to new heights of sophistication. Learn more about Inicio Windows and Doors today. Discover the perfect blend of European beauty and style with unwavering durability and strength. Visit InicioWindows.com. INICIO Windows.com. Inicio Windows and Doors, where European design meets American craftsmanship.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warm-Up.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the Sports Leader.
What's up, Giants fans, and welcome to the Giants Warm-Up Show on KNBR, the Sports Leader. I'm your host, Walter Cepeda. It is a short show today. We'll be only taking the Giants Warm-Up up until 11:35 because we have the ceremonies that we will carry here on KNBR of the celebration of life of Orlando Cepeda. And I'll tell you right now, we got a game later. We'll talk a little bit about it, but today is a day for remembrance of the baby bull from Ponce, Puerto Rico. We will hear a lot of great stories in that ceremony. I believe Larry Bear will be talking, Dusty Baker will be talking as well, among others. So definitely stay tuned on KNBR to hear the full ceremony for the baby bull who passed away earlier this year. It was actually, I believe it was close to a week, I believe, after Willie Mays passed away at the age of 86 on June 28th. But Orlando Cepeda, he will be remembered today. Just, obviously we could always look at the numbers and that tells a story for a baseball player just on the back of a baseball card. But, what you'll want to hear today in these ceremonies is just the excitement level, the energy level of a baby bull. And I can't wait to hear that broadcast for sure. But at the player, Orlando Cepeda, I mean, he had a great Hall of Fame career, over 300, I believe it was 379 home runs in his Hall of Fame career, and 226 of those were as a member of the San Francisco Giants. He won a Rookie of the Year, had an MVP later in his career when he would leave to be traded to St. Louis Cardinals, and it would help them win a World Series. So we'll talk a lot about Orlando Cepeda. We'll talk a little bit about the game yesterday. Bob Melvin spoke after the post game. Or after the game yesterday in the post game, and he wasn't thrilled. He wasn't thrilled. It wasn't, the energy level that Baby Bull brought all those years ago. It's just non-existent with this Giants team right now. It just wasn't acceptable. So we'll hear from Bob Melvin what he had to say, his thoughts of the Giants' performance yesterday, and just a buildup of all of these games from this past week. I mean, I was looking over the numbers, and obviously we do who's hot and who's hitting the lumber and all that kind of stuff. The Giants just aren't. The Giants just aren't since Wednesday. I mean, they went on that huge explosion, which was a detriment to my fantasy team. I'm in the semifinals in the KNBR league for baseball, and yeah, thank you, Raph. I did beat Raph to get to the champ or to the semifinal. Yeah, sorry, Raph. Sorry, I had to give you a shout out there. But Colin Ray, he got lit up on Wednesday, and that was the last time that the Giants offense showed a pulse, if you will. So we'll have to see what the Giants can do. Obviously, today is a day of remembering Orlando Cepeda, but hopefully they can channel some of that power, some of that energy level from the Puerto Rico native of Orlando Cepeda. But it is also Roberto Clemente Day, right? And in the lineup today, we'll give you the lineup shortly, but in the lineup today, batting fifth is Mike Yastrzemski. He is the representative for the Giants for the Roberto Clemente Award, which is, on and off the field, just being a humanitarian, being a good person on and off the field, and his foundation we'll get to shortly. But it's a day of remembrance for sure. And, with Orlando Cepeda and Roberto Clemente, I remember reading a book that was called Clemente. I forget who wrote it, but it was Clemente, the title. So go ahead and check that out. I have it in my closet. I'll go grab it so you guys can take a look at it. But just remembering reading that book on Roberto Clemente, and you get little tidbits here of Willie Mays, right? They played together in Puerto Rico, and then just a little sentence, little nod to the baby bull. He was the bat boy for that team. So that was just incredible. Just just to see that Roberto Clemente was someone that everyone in Puerto Rico, if you're a Puerto Rican native, everybody looked up to Roberto Clemente. And then just the fact that, he was a hero for Orlando Cepeda. So he was the bat boy there, and just reading those memories from way back in the day is just, it's incredible. It's incredible. And then not yesterday, but I was at the game on Friday, right? The first game that the Giants had against the Padres. And I was hanging there with my family, and I was having a conversation with my dad, because my dad, huge Giants fan, but he is not from this country. He is from Nicaragua, and that's kind of just a full circle moment. In that today is Roberto Clemente Day, and Orlando Cepeda will be remembered today, and he looked up to Roberto Clemente so much. So just the fact that they're having this celebration of life on Roberto Clemente Day is just it's a great move by the Giants. Fiesta Gigante too. They're going to have all the Latin players are going to have their countries represented on their caps, so that's pretty incredible as well. But I was sitting there and I was talking to my dad, and he remembers he was 10 years old when that earthquake hit in Nicaragua, which would call action to Roberto Clemente, and he remembered it. And he was just talking about it, and he remembers hearing the news, right? Because my dad, growing up in another country, and obviously having a Latin American player just be as good as he was, Roberto Clemente was the high standard for Central America. So he heard that Roberto Clemente passed, and he passed because he was in a plane crash, right? He was in a plane crash that he was trying to bring supplies to the people of Nicaragua. So it was just an incredible moment with my dad. We were just remembering that, and he was telling me all the stories of him being in Nicaragua as a young kid, and he remembers hearing the stories and listening, and remembers Roberto Clemente, and of course Roberto Clemente would bring a lot of Latin American players, and that is something that benefited with Orlando Cepeda being that next guy that would kind of be part of that wave from Puerto Rico and the wave of Latin players. So we will remember Orlando Cepeda and definitely Roberto Clemente today. But today the Giants, they will have a game against the San Diego Padres. It will be Martin Perez and Landon Roop on the mound. First pitch has been moved back to 1:35, just so everyone that is heading out to the game, you do want to get there early, because the pregame ceremonies for Orlando Cepeda will be starting at 12:30. So be in your seat, be ready to celebrate the life of Orlando Cepeda today when you're out at the ballpark. But first pitch will be 1:35. Martin Perez, Landon Roop is on the mound, so definitely get there early to take in all of the festivities, all the celebration for Orlando Cepeda. But the Giants team on the field, it just, the season has taken a turn, right? I mean, we know that the Giants are not in contention. We know that they have no chance at a playoff game. I believe a couple of days ago they were mathematically eliminated from contention from winning the National League West. So, I mean, you look to other storylines. You look to what can potentially what you're looking for in the Giants to finish the rest of this season, and to kind of forecast forward to 2025. And something I just have to see fight. I have to see fight from these guys. I need to see them locked in. I know that the games aren't necessarily, you're not playing for, it looks very uninspired baseball right now. So I would like to see these, especially these young guys, just take the bull by the horns and just really, really make the best of this opportunity. I think one guy that has really taken this opportunity and kind of put himself in a conversation for a roster spot next year is Gerard Encarnacion. I mean, this guy has solid at bats. He's going to be playing in right field today. He's batting cleanup. So, I mean, that just tells you how good he has been as of late. Matt Chapman is batting third. We'll give you the lineup here shortly, but that's something that you have to look to, right? Is how can this team develop its young talent moving forward for the rest of this season? And I mean, just take a look at who's on the mound today, right? And Landon Roop, he was someone that was coming out of spring training that a lot of people were really high on, right? I mean, the conversation, I remember doing the spring training shows and we were just trying to figure out who's going to be on the roster, what this rotation would look like. And at the time, I mean, you had a combination of Tristan Beck, of Mason Black, and then the injuries happen. And it's just, who else is in line, right? Everyone was talking about Carson Wisenhunt and could he potentially have an opportunity at some point at that time? And but the conversation of camp in the early going was Hayden Birdsong, who is on this team and is still continued to pitch well down the stretch, and Landon Roop. And Landon Roop had that opportunity earlier this year. He did end up getting injured and having to go back to Sacramento to kind of work on some things, work on his command. But it's nice to see that he's back here, and I do foresee, I do kind of look into the crystal ball. I do think that Landon Roop will be a part of this pitching staff, whether it's the long guy out of the bullpen. But I know that the Giants would probably like to use him as a starter down the line. So he looks really good. He has a devastating curveball. I mean, he looks great. So that's something to watch today with the future of the Giants. And just yesterday, Bob, it just hasn't been good baseball for the last couple of days. With Giants haven't scored. I mean, you talk about they go on droughts, right? They haven't scored since Wednesday. They have gone consecutive days of not scoring a run, which is there was notes in it. I'll look it up. But there was notes that this is an incredible stretch. It's not the longest, but it is an incredible stretch of them not being able to score. I think the last time that they scored was in the 8th inning on Wednesday against the Brewers. And the last home run that they hit was, let's do that here, Raf. If you have the home run call with Matt Chapman, that was the last one. That was the last one that was hit because there wasn't too many home runs hit on this homestand. But the last one came on Wednesday where the Giants gave it to the Brewers. They put up 13 runs, and that would be the last runs that they would score for the rest of the week. But the last home run was hit, and it was the longest of the week with Matt Chapman at the plate. Colin Ray, who, again, may have cost me my fantasy semifinal, but he was on the mound. And Raph is still looking for that home run, but it was an incredible home run and incredible year for Matt Chapman in that, that was his 24th home run of the season. And, with his contract extension and him being a Giant and him kind of being the center point for the Giants moving forward, it's just incredible to see that he has continued to stay locked in. And that's something that I would like to see from the young guys, right? Is just to continue to fight, to continue to go out there and give you good solid ABs. But that home run was the longest of the week. It was the last home run of the week, and it got out of here in a hurry.
Here's a swing and a smash deep left field. This one is gone. Matt Chapman well up into the bleachers. His 24th home run of the year. He's got a hit now. It's 10-1 Giants.
10-1 Giants. That was their last home run in the 4th inning against Colin Ray. Really got to him. I wish the Brewers would have taken him out a little bit earlier, so I can save my fantasy team. But that did not happen. That home run went for 400 feet to left field with the exit velocity of 108. And that detailed measurement is brought to you by Abundant Life Weight Loss. Call 925-594-7110 to start your journey today. Let's hope that the Giants can channel a little bit more of that power from the baby bull today, and get another detailed measurement. You know, we're talking about home runs from Wednesday. Let's get a couple more to end this homestand as the Giants go on a road trip that will start in Baltimore on Tuesday, and then they end up in Kansas City, back to Kauffman. I believe it's still Kauffman Stadium. Back in Kansas City 10 years ago, where they won their final World Series, and we'll definitely dive into that next week. Maybe we'll have a couple of players from that 2014 roster. So we will continue the conversation on the other side. Let's take a quick break. We'll give you the standings update, and we will get you ready for the Giants pregame, which starts officially at 11:35. Again, the ceremonies to celebrate the life of Orlando Cepeda starts at 12:30. You're going to want to hear it here on KNBR, but if you're heading to the game, get in your seat early and help celebrate the life of the baby bull who passed away earlier this year, June 28th, at the age of 86. So we will continue the conversation on the other side. You're listening to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Welcome back to our KNBR Giants warm-up on the Sports Leader.
All right, it is a party here, celebration of life for Orlando Cepeda. Again, that starts at 12:30. You will hear it here live on KNBR, so make sure you are tuned in, or if you're heading to the game, definitely be in your seat early for the celebration of life for Orlando Cepeda, the baby bull. Love that sound, Raph. You can just keep it going for the rest of this segment. Yeah. Incredible. If you're watching the YouTube stream, we're getting our dance moves out for Orlando Cepeda. But let's go ahead and get some house cleaning done really quick before we get to ready for the official pregame show, which starts in about 3 minutes or so. Let's go ahead and give you the standings update that we are obligated to do here. A standings update sponsored by the Alameda County Probation Department. Visit joinacpd.org today for a career that matters. And currently the standings, again, I mentioned that the Giants are mathematically eliminated from contention for the NL West. You have the Dodgers at the front, who only hold a 3.5 game lead over the San Diego Padres. So the Giants are not playing spoiler there, or if you want to look at it in a different way, they're helping the Padres and catching the Dodgers. So maybe that's a good thing after all. The Padres are in the second position in the National League West with 84 wins. Dodgers are first place with 87 wins, and the Diamondbacks come in at third, ahead of the Giants by 10 games, or 10 and a half games, 82 and 66. But when you look to the wild card, that is where all the action is. Currently, your NL leaders in the divisions are the Phillies, the Dodgers, and the Padres. But when you look to the National League wild card, you have the Padres, or I'm sorry, did I say the Padres twice? The Brewers are leading the Central. And in the National League wild card, the Padres are first, Diamondbacks second. The Braves are holding on to that third spot, but they are virtually tied, it looks like, with the Mets. So a lot of action there in the National League wild card. And in the American League, the Giants will be seeing the number 1 and number 2 positions in the American League wild card race. The Orioles are 84 and 66. They're holding on to that first wild card spot. The Royals are holding on to that second wild card spot at 82 and 67. So a tough week for the Giants, but this is definitely a week that the Giants can build some character for their young guys moving forward, because that is what this season is about. You want to see who can break onto the scene for the Giants for the rest of this season, but also looking to 2025, where you look to, and maybe Bryce Eldridge is that guy. He got his first hit in AAA Sacramento yesterday. So we will continue the conversation on the other side with Dave Fleming. We will talk all about Orlando Cepeda. That ceremony coming up again at 12:30. You're listening to KNBR, the Sports Leader. Let's take it away.